And joining us now on the show, we have our very special guest for the first episode of the new series, Terence Eden. Hello, Terence.
Hello, gang. How are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Well, it's another beautiful day in my geeky world, so yes, I'm doing fantastic.
Excellent. Well, we have already talked about on the show the Fiverr Fun Tumblr that you run. I have to ask, where did the idea come from? And also, how do you choose the sub £5 product?
Well, the idea came from Secret Santa at work a few years ago. I was looking through Amazon for joke products and, good fun things that you could buy. And it just suddenly struck me there's offices up and down the country which are doing Secret Santas. Wouldn't it be good to have a sort of website which sort of listed here's cool, fun stuff that you can buy for about £5, and that's where it came from. So I just started initially just adding things to a list, and it grew bigger and geekier.
Now, what's the weirdest thing that you have found for under £5?
Oh, the weirdest things. There's lots of bulk things you can get, which I really love. So, like I say, here's loads of capacitors for £1. I like the googly eyes. You can buy a huge bag of googly eyes for about £3 and just stick them everywhere. And I've just had mini sriracha bottles. Sriracha hot sauce. You can get mini tiny bottles of that, which you can fill up and then keep on your keyring, so that whenever you're having a disappointing sandwich, you've got some hot sauce there that you can just squirt out when you need it.
Well, I mean, I have a very passionate love affair with sriracha sauce, so being able to have that on my keys and, as you say, spice up a boring sandwich. There's nothing worse than in life than finding a boring sandwich.
I like to build my own things. So, I mean, I guess lots of geeks do. And it originally started me going onto Amazon and scrolling through listings and then copying and pasting and uploading to Tumblr. And I think everyone knows that experience. If you've repeated a task like 10 times and you go, nope, I'm going to find a way to automate this.
I was going to ask about Geeky Shoes, because that's another one of the Tumblr blogs and Twitter accounts and kind of things that you run is just posting geeky shoes.
Yeah, so I saw a friend of mine had these really expensive shoes, and I don't know how to describe them, like a spiral which wraps around your feet. And I was they're absolutely gorgeous, sort of spirally high heels. And I thought, I want those in a men's size. And they don't do them in a men's size because they're sexist. But it sort of led me down this wormhole. It's like when you're browsing Wikipedia and you click one thing and then another, and all of a sudden you're at a completely random page. I suddenly found myself in this weird Amazon world where it was just suggesting Star Wars themed shoes and Alice in Wonderland high heels and weird Japanese manga trainers. And I thought, this is brilliant. And there's men's shoes and women's shoes there. So I did exactly the same thing. I put this Tumblr together. And so every day it posts 2 different pairs of shoes, some of which are things like these big fluffy Lego slippers, which I absolutely love. And others are these ridiculously expensive sort of couture shoes, which have got Darth Vader heads for the heels. And they're absolutely brilliant. Do not suit my foot at all, but lots of people seem to like them, which is brilliant.
Little technology side projects are sort of a theme of yours, aren't they? I'm thinking of the fact that your solar panels tweet every day.
What of it? Don't yours? God, stop having a go. So a few years ago, I got solar panels fitted, and the installer said as he was doing it, do you have a Wi-Fi password? And I thought he wanted to check his emails. And it turns out that the box which controls my solar panels has an app. And as I was fiddling around with it, I discovered my solar panels have an API. Brilliant. What can I do with this amazing information? So I've got a little Raspberry Pi, and it pings my solar panels every minute and records all the energy they're generating, and then draws a graph and once a day posts it to Twitter.
And, great for bragging rights. Like, hey, look at how efficient energy-wise I am.
And I can use it to charge my electric car as well, which also tweets. So visit at @Edent_car. And every time I make a journey in my electric car, I hacked the BMW API so that I can get information out of it and just post information up and around, and it emails me when my battery's low and stuff like that. Twitter is a nice way so that I can see it, and if anyone else is mad enough to want to follow @Edent_solar or _car, or I've got one of these Roomba robot vacuum cleaners that also tweets at Eden_Roomba. Are you sensing a theme here? But it needs to actually complain that it's got stuff stuck in it, or another day sucking all the dust out of this guy's carpet. Yeah. I think giving my Twitter robots genuine people personalities would be a perfect use of my time. There's no good way. It's something that I've always thought Twitter should do, which is differentiate between this account is a person and this account is a robot. Because sometimes you do follow things and you think, hang on, is this a person who's manually typing this in each day, or is this something which is just giving you a little status update? And I think that Twitter, for all its faults, is just a brilliant sort of little pub sub platform where, if I want, I can just go in and check in on all the things on my house. I don't need to open 10 different apps. I've just got half a dozen Twitter accounts, and I can glance at it and see, oh yeah, the solar battery is charging, my car is, parked where it's meant to be, and all these different things.
You were saying about Twitter being able to make it clear which accounts are bots and which are humans. My Twitter bot that Kez made for me, based on my tweets, once had a lengthy conversation with Amazon Help. It tweeted something mentioning Amazon, which then prompted them to send a reply. And then, of course, the bot messages back, and there was no end of confusion about what the problem might actually be. So in the end, I had to kind of step in and say, sorry, that's actually a robot. Don't worry, there's no problem here.
Oh, that's sad and hopeful at the same time, isn't it? It's like it's a Turing test. Is your bot clever enough to fool some wage slave, stuck in a cubicle answering the same tedious help desk questions every single day? I think that's somehow beautiful, isn't it? Because you're never sure when you're talking to Amazon or any customer service. Am I talking to a real person, or is this, just a very clever bot? It's our job to build amazing things, and some of the things that we build aren't great, and some get used for dodgy purposes. And I'm sure we've all had the experience of building something and then seeing someone we don't like using it, or using it for a nefarious purpose. But it's kind of up to us to design things which promote niceness. I'm sorry if that sounds too... I can't even find the words to describe it. If you're building a platform like Twitter, it's kind of up to you to go, all right, what if the worst person in the world were to use our service? How could we make it so that it wouldn't absolutely terrify everyone?
Although if you can manage to do evil things with the tweeting Roomba, that's quite impressive.
That's impressive.
I was thinking of sellotaping a knife to it and getting it to...
Battle Roomba.
Yeah. I think I might enter it into the next series of Robot Wars.
That'd be amazing. So, Terence, you've taken one of my favourite type of books as a child, the kind of build your own adventure books, and you have brought that into the modern age. Tell us a bit about that.
So a few years ago, I just got bored one day, and when you're bored, you just start thinking about I had loads of ideas percolating away in the background, and I thought I'd really like to build a piece of interactive fiction. I used to love those books, like those Steve Jackson ones, turn to page 7 now, and if you want to fight the hobgoblin, turn to page 54. And it suddenly struck me that could you do it with Twitter? So I did. I got dozens of old Twitter accounts, some which I had and some which people gave me, and built a multiple choice piece of interactive fiction.
How did you even go about making that story? Did that take a lot of planning? Were there diagrams?
Well, I started off really low tech, which was pen and paper, basically. It was like I thought, okay, well, what's the basic structure that I want of this story? And, I started typing out various sentences, and then I tried, drawing in Word, links between them, and it didn't quite work. And I found on the web this brilliant website, Inkle Writer, and it's specifically designed for building your own interactive fiction. So you type the paragraph, the first bit of the story, and then the options, and then you can link those options to different parts of the stories, and you can create trees and loops and everything like that. And that's what I did. So it was a little bit of paper mapping, just going, okay, well, I know that at this point I want it to loop back to that point, and this is definitely the ending that I want here. And then I need, all these 7 grisly deaths over here. Mm-hmm. And then using Inkle Writer just to map them all out. And it's been brilliant.
So, Terence, what do you make of Astley's Baps?
Well, I make toast out of my Astley's Baps and have done for many years. I find them a nutritious and delicious start to the day and a perfect accompaniment to every meal. Yes, I can definitely see a market for people buying this at least once.
Yes.
Possibly no more than once, but I think people, you can buy mash tags. Have you seen mash tags? They're hashtags made of potato. So yes, I think people will definitely buy meme-based food for a short period.
Terence, are you a fan of the Great British Bake Off?
I am a massive Bake Off fan. I really can't get enough of it. It's good, clean fun. I was trying to describe to someone why I love it so much, and it's because the stakes are so low. You win a nice bunch of flowers and you've made loads of cake. It's not like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire where it's life-changing amounts of money. It's just so, it's just so much fun, and I love it. Yeah.
Who are you rooting for on the show? Who do you want to win?
Well, obviously Val, I thought was going to win. I thought that her Yorkshire puddings would just knock everyone out of the park, and sadly it wasn't to be. So I'm gutted that Val's gone. But my mate Jen is in love with Candice, so I have to say I just think they're all great. But yeah, for this is a shout out to Jen. I'm rooting for Candice.
We're interviewing the wonderful Andrew from Bake Off later on the show. If you could ask him any question, what would that be?
I don't know. Let me compose myself. It's an awesome responsibility you've given me here. I would like to ask one very specific question, and that's between Mel and Sue, which one smells better? They spend so much time eating the cakes. Do they absorb the smell of all the cakes that they eat? That's what I want to know.
Well, I always imagine the tent smells lovely.
One last question for you. You've talked a lot about tinkering, building things, making things. A lot of people are probably sat listening going, okay, that's great. How? What would be your golden advice for them?
The first thing is to have a clear picture in your head of what it is you want to achieve. I see, I help teach young people to code, and too often they say, I want to build a game. And you say, all right, well, what sort of game? I don't know, just any game. And there's nowhere to go from there. So if you've got a task that you want to solve, like I want my lights to turn on when I open the door, or I want my solar panels to tweet, just start with the kernel of an idea and then buy a Raspberry Pi. It doesn't really matter if you end up using it. You'll end up with half a dozen Raspberry Pis littered around your house, but they're so cheap. Ask people for help. There's so many great open source communities. So whether it's on Raspberry Pi forums or go to GitHub and find some code which looks like it might do what you want and have a play, but ask people, tweet about it. We're a big friendly community. Well, we're mostly friendly. Start with an idea, get a Raspberry Pi, and just go looking for someone else's code to build on. Don't try and reinvent everything from scratch. And then ask for help when you need it, because we're always here. The internet is always there to help you.
Well, Terence, thank you so much for joining us this week and telling us all about the great things that you've been working on and building. And thanks for that excellent advice for people looking to get into building stuff.
It's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for having me.